Hi, Statesman Nation. I'm Wade Steinluggy, Sports Information Director here at William Penn University, and this is Inside the Playbook. This is going to be a new segment that we're going to provide for you, including some interviews with our coaches, as well as a little kind of roundtable situation that we'll have here with my graduate assistants, Jared Goodman and Justin Burtis. So before we get to that, just want to do a thanks to Oskaloosa News for using their studio. Loved our partnership with Ken and Ginger Alsop, and really excited to just be in their studio and get off campus and do something different. So without further ado, let's just get right into it, guys. Talk about last week. Full docket, as there always is going to be from now on. Right. You guys know fully how that works. But right out of the gate, football against Benedictine. Number 2 team in the nation, and for a while there we were playing with them. It was a rough start. They scored 13 right out of the gate. It was only 19-3 though at half, and we ended up scoring a late third quarter touchdown, made it 19-11. Thought we had a turnover, actually. Now, looking back at it, thought we had a turnover, would have given us the ball back, chance to possibly even tie it. Didn't have the turnover. They ended up scoring, and the rest is history. It ended up being 47-11. But I think Coach will talk later in the show. But I know he's excited about what the team's got, and there's a lot of positivity considering the team's 0-2. They're really excited about what they have. They know that they've been playing really well for 3 quarters through the first 2 games, and then just things have fallen off, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think for them, I'm sure Coach Hafner will allude to this, is just finishing a ball game, and I thought there was a lot of positives in that ball game with Benedictine. The evolution of the passing game a little bit has kind of been a focus for them this season, and there's been a lot of chatter about it. I thought Tyler Wood looked pretty good out there against the number 2 ranked team in the nation, and it's something that keep the offense evolutionizing
a little more balanced.
Yeah,
we're going to be a triple option. We're going to run it 80% of the time. I don't think there's any question about that. But to be able to throw effectively is going to be a nice wrinkle that we can add, hopefully.
Yeah,
so.
And plus, we've played against the second-ranked team in the nation, and wasn't the other one we played?
18, I think. Was
so that's 2 top 25 teams,
right.
And as you said, you've stayed with them for majority of the game, which is a huge confidence boost, I think, to a team that you can sit yourself and go, okay, this is a tough conference top to bottom, let alone that it's broken in half. So that should give them a lot of momentum going forward that we can carry through in our own little, what are we, North?
Yeah.
So North play,
Yeah, unfortunately, the heart has always set us up with Murderers Row at the start. We've had the toughest schedule to begin seasons, and this is no different. We just have to weather the storm, get through, and hopefully win a lot of games in the next 9 weeks, and hopefully maybe put ourselves in position to go to the playoffs. So, anyhow, so that's football. They've got Mid-Am coming up next week. We'll talk about that later in the show. But moving on here, men's soccer. Unfortunately, kind of a Jekyll and Hyde type week for the men's soccer team. Played Robert Morris, got some nice revenge against them after losing to them. I think it was double overtime last year. Just smoked the Eagles. Great game, 2-0 at half. Ended up winning 5-1. Great overall, victory at home. Great smaller crowd, great crowd, and I mean everybody just played really well. So I think the team had to be really excited about that. Just everybody got into it. I think Bernardo Lima had some assists and goals, and it was just a great win. And then unfortunately, Hannibal LaGrange, a team that they should have taken to the woodshed, to be honest, and just had a bad day. Didn't finish. Coach Highcock fully admitted that they need to beat those teams, and they just didn't. Had the lead, blew it late, and so now they're licking their wounds a little bit, and they're going into St. Ambrose this weekend. Probably got a little chip on their shoulder.
That's for sure. I mean, they took 25 shots against Robert Morris, held them to 14. They gave up an own goal, but otherwise, that game's 5-1 at the end of the day. They played really well. They controlled all 3 phases, backline, defense, midfield, pressed forward really well, finish. As you said, Lima, he actually got a goal. Amaskita got a goal, 2 for Davitska. Donnie Messina got one as well. Couple corner kick goals. So everything was just gelling. Even though it was rainy and the wind was blowing, they played really well. I didn't quite get to see all the video from that one at Hannibal, but it would be interesting to see how it kind of didn't click, because they seemed to be really gelling on that Saturday before they took that trip down to Missouri.
Yeah,
and
I think they just overlooked them a little bit.
Yeah, and that happens throughout a season. They just had a little bit of a letdown. Going on the road is never easy, especially when you're going to a team that you're expected to handle pretty easily. It's easy to have a letdown in those situations, and unfortunately the Statesmen did. But I think they're going to bounce back just fine against St. Ambrose this weekend, and then going off into the Heart with a tough Heart. I mean, they're going to be battle tested. And sometimes you need to lose a game like that, I think, going forward. Feel what that feels like, and then you can, you don't ever want to feel that again, and then, it propels you to another level.
Yeah, and to be honest, because I worked the men's national tournament last year, you had a team in Rio Grande that went undefeated in the season. They played 0 ranked teams, though, and they showed up and they won their first game, but it was a struggle, and they lost their second game and they're out. And perhaps that was something they never faced adversity, because looking at their schedule last year, they had just ran the table cleanly, shutouts left and right or whatever. But kind of to Jared's point, maybe you don't want them to lose those games, but the fact you do gives you that mindset, all right, now we need to step up every game.
You're either winning or you're learning.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was a big learning point for them, hopefully. Like I said, it takes them to that next level.
Yep, definitely. All right, on the women's side, the same idea, just flip-flopped. Jekyll and Hyde got, unfortunately, beaten pretty handily by Robert Morris. Thought maybe it'd be a little bit closer, and it just kind of got away from him. And then, coming back, Hannibal LaGrange. I don't think they're the strongest team, obviously, out there, but a really, really good performance by the ladies, and, shut them out 7-0. So, Justin, give us a little more background on that.
Robert Morris, that game was close at the first half. Certainly they were getting pushed, but then Lily Cougar Fountain stepped up and drilled one from just inside the midway line. It somehow went in because their goalie was not that tall, so when she jumped to try and save it, she pushed it off the crossbar and in. Probably the most spectacular goal they've had all season. They've had some dramatic finishes, but that was pretty special.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened at halftime, whether they got overconfident and came out flat-footed. Maybe it was something similar happened when they played Simpson. Not sure, but then they just seemed to just stall.
Right.
Didn't know what to do, couldn't organize on the back end, gaps left and right, and 4 or 5 goals later, it was totally out of reach. And you'd think, kind of like what we just talked about the men's, that maybe that was where they learned, because then they show up in Hannibal, Missouri, and they take 33 shots, give up a total of, I think it was 6 all game.
Yeah.
Anna Matthew has a hat trick within 15 minutes. Caitlin Flaney then adds 2 more within the span of the next 3 minutes. They win 7-0. Sierra Parrish, Isabella Davies tie school records for most assists. Matthew tied her career high with 4 goals, which was just 1 off the school record of 5. Just dominant. And I know we were preparing for the women's volleyball game, so we couldn't watch that whole one, but that must have been extraordinary to just see them carving up a team like that. Because when you're playing quality soccer, it's truly one of the better visual aspects of sports.
Yeah.
And it was really good seeing Anna Matthew, find the back of the net multiple times. She's kind of going to be relied on down the stretch to be one of the primary goal scorers for this team, and to see her come out like that. And I think it was last year against Hannibal LaGrange too. She had those 4 goals, so she kind of has Hannibal LaGrange's number a little bit. And
yeah, she does really well against in some blowout games, and she really, really takes it to the other team for sure.
Yeah,
I think that's a win that, as a young team as they are, that I don't know what they had against Hannibal, but against Robert Morris, they started 10 sophomores or freshmen, so really, really young team, and they're going to be, they're going to take some lumps because of that. But if they can, get a nice win here or there and build some confidence, by the end of the year, that could be a really tough team. Maybe mess up some teams. Hopefully, they can sneak themselves into the tournament, and then going forward,
anything
be
can
a
happen
really,
once you get
really
in the
strong
tournament.
team going.
Yeah.
As they get older,
and especially if they can learn how to finish, because that was something that has been talked about: is can they score goals? Because they had 3 halves of soccer between Simpson essentially that Morris game where they didn't score and didn't look like they could score. But then all of a sudden with 7 goals, maybe perhaps they figured it out and can put a few more in this Saturday.
For sure. Women's volleyball, actually a pretty light week. They played last Wednesday against Central Methodist, and the top 25 Eagles took care of them, but we're not talking about that. Tuesday night, though, having their first regular season home, I want to say, instead of take away the tournament thing, but first home regular season match, Culver Stockton, first home match for Hard Play, and took care of the Wildcats. Jared, what did you see out of that?
Yeah, I mean, before we get into the game or whatever, just what an amazing atmosphere that was
for sure
inside the Penn Activity Center with the the lights and all that, and we had the largest crowd ever attended for a volleyball match.
Over 600.
Over 600, almost 700. I mean, it was loud, it was rocking. I think the girls really fed off of that. They ended up sweeping Culver Stockton by the scores of 25-23, 25-20, and 25-19. So it wasn't, Wildcats didn't make it easy for them by any means. Of course, they were led on the offensive side by Corinne Lepper, Dan Pudzinski, Dan in the middle, Corinne on the outside. They really hit the ball well. Lepper finished with 14 kills. Dan finished with 15 kills. Statesman overall out-hit the Wildcats, 120 to negative .028. So I think it's just a testament how well the defense really played. And you saw, 4 defensive players end up in double-digit digs, which is, pretty rare.
Especially in a 3-set match, yeah.
Yeah, and
everything.
You had Cameron Campbell, the libero, 14 digs, and then Cecily Liphart, Annalise Whitcomb, and Casey Gakasana all logged 11 digs. I mean, that's not something you see every day, especially, like you said, in a 3-set match. Annalise Whitcomb, I thought, did a really, really good job from the set. She had 37 assists, and it was in a
that's insane.
Yeah, it's a 3-set match. I mean, she really was running the offense well, giving, Corinne and Dan some really good balls. And Libby Zorn, she kind of had a little bit of a tough, I would say, set and a half. Making some errors. We don't usually see her make, but she came on strong and really got some points at the end there for the Statesman towards the end of sets. She ended up with 9 kills. The first set was really back and forth. I mean, I think Culver Stockton came out and they did a good job. I think they scored the first 3 points of the match, and Statesman fought their way back. The offense totally wasn't in sync right off the bat, but when that second set came around, the Statesman jumped out to a 10-0 lead. That place was exploding, and that's when things really started to click for them. And Wildcats, like I said, didn't make it easy. They ended up coming back in the second set, making it close, and that's what you're going to get in the heart with volleyball. Is you're going to get a lot of teams that are just not going to give up and not going to give in. Volleyball is such a momentum-based game that it's going to happen. But good win for the Statesman nonetheless, and we'll talk later about their upcoming schedule, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think they're talking to Coach Cleaver afterwards. Didn't hit as high of a percentage, like half as good as they did against Central Methodist the week before, but the defense was dynamite. Central Methodist hit about 400 the week before. Culver Stockton, again, 2 different teams for sure, but Culver Stockton hitting in the negative. You're doing something right, especially if you get all those digs and et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of good things to build off of. They're going to be. It's a tough team. There are a lot of new individuals that are working it out, and she's starting to solidify that lineup, and I think she feels pretty good about where they're at. And it's a big weekend coming up though for sure. Cross country wise, the Augustana Twilight, a huge event up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. A lot of D1s, a lot of D2s, and a very young, William Penn cross country teams. They end up finishing near the bottom, which probably where our team's at right now, especially when you're talking about going up against the likes of Nebraska and Augustana. I mean, these are really, really top-notch programs that are way, way bigger than us. But good learning experience, and I think they always have fun going up there because, from my understanding, they light the course with glow sticks and everything. So it's really cool, and they're pumping music all the time. It's just a totally different atmosphere. So good experience, racing in a really big, 300 athletes going out there on a 5K course or whatever. So they have Grandview this week, and we'll talk about it in a bit. But I think they're starting to see some good things out of some individuals, and hopefully getting a little healthier, all that stuff. So finally, Justin, talk about women's golf. They got the season started at Bellevue.
Yeah, they went down to Nebraska and they ended up coming home with a first place win, which is pretty impressive, I would say, when you have a couple stars leave your team. They lost five players from last year, and they took a couple new players with them this year. They came out on top. The total team score at the end of the day is 653, which cleared Bellevue by almost 20 shots. They finished in second in team standings. And probably most importantly for new coach Bailey Rhymes, Bailey Frayne, second, Julia Hipley, third, Brittany Evans, fourth in the individual standings. So if you have your top three players all within the top five, and with a couple strokes better on the second day, Bailey might have won the overall championship for that 2-day tournament. So that's a pretty great start. She said they have a lot to improve, but for a golf program that has a lot of tradition, a lot of success in the heart, to have some turnover and then show up at your first event and come close to dominating is a really good sign when you're moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing, getting Julie Hipley to score as well as she did, because she was someone that's been JV as a freshman, stepping into that role. Nobody's replacing an Elise Warren or Megan Rhodes, but they're finding a way. Alexis Guimaraes is going to. She had a bit of a rough tournament, but she'll figure it out. Jacqueline Wojciechowski is another individual that is playing varsity, brand new freshman. She's going to take some lumps early on, but they'll figure it out. And the nice part is, right out the gate, one attorney, and at somebody else's place. Bellevue they've got a really fun little rivalry with Bellevue. It's a very friendly rivalry, non-conference and all that. The programs really respect each other, but I'm sure they appreciated going over there and taking one from Bellevue.
Yeah, and it wasn't an easy course. There was a lot of water, especially on the back nine. There's a couple long par fives, and I didn't quite look at the JV scores as well, but they had played on the same course too, so I'm sure there's some good comparisons to be made there, and they'll get some good info as to who they can start bringing up and, as you said, filling out the roster as they move towards heart play at the end of this phase of the golf season and once it comes back to spring.
Yeah, definitely. All right. I think we covered everything. Make sure I did. Yeah, covered everybody. So when we return, we will sit down with head coach Todd Hafner as well as Jaden Fletcher of the football team. You are inside the playbook.
The student community at William Penn made an impression on me. It's a real statement that you can come here and be part of something real.
You have the opportunity to participate in activities, to be involved, to make a difference on campus.
The coaches are awesome. It's easy to play for coaches that care about you. It gets more effort out of you because you appreciate what they do.
The real experiences at Penn have helped shape who I'm going to be when I graduate. I work harder because I want to be part of the conversation in class.
William Penn gives me the freedom to be who I am now and the tools for who I want to be.
Diversity runs deep at William Penn.
Not only in the student body, which is made up of people from all over the world,
but also in the diverse opportunities for hands-on learning.
The equipment you get to use is legit. The experiences here will help me get a job when I graduate.
I am a leader.
I am a trailblazer.
I'm proud to be a statesman.
William Penn University. Make a statement, be a statesman.
Welcome back, Statesman Nation. We're now joined here by Coach Todd Hafner as well as Senior Jaden Fletcher as we preview this week's game against Mid-American Nazarene as well as recap last week against Benedictine. So first off, Coach, 3 quarters of great football against the number 2 team in the nation. Things unfortunately kind of got away from us in the fourth quarter, but let's recap that game a little bit.
Well, again, it's like I told the kids after the game, it's one of those situations where we know now that, if we didn't know after week 1, we know now that we have a good football team, and that, we just got to figure out a way to finish games, whether that's, we turned the ball over. I think we had a block punt. I mean, we just made some mistakes down the stretch that against good football teams you can't make. And fortunately or unfortunately, we'll play a good football team every week. And so, we'll need to make sure that we eliminate those mistakes in the fourth quarter. Also, we'll do something a little different this week. We're going to give our kids a little bit something to eat at halftime. We have pregame meal about 3.5 to 4 hours before the game, and then they don't eat again until until after the game. And so we're going to try something a little different. Coach Haugen, suggested this, and I think it's a great idea. And so we'll have something in the locker room for our kids at halftime just to fuel their mind as well as their body, and hopefully that'll keep us sharp throughout the game.
So he's bringing the orange slices then?
So we have we're going to do bananas and granola bars and have some Gatorade, and so we'll have it ready to go for them.
Nobody wants to get sick in the second
No,
half.
no.
We're not
No pasta, pasta, and we'll stay away from all that.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, especially being noon game, sounds like it's going to be not terribly hot,
right?
But you just.
We'll go out there. I mean, and really, I think it's just about when your body doesn't have anything to fuel it, the mind starts to go too. And so I think we're going to try. We're willing to try anything. And Coach Haugen and Coach Norbert came up with this, and I think it was a great idea, and we're going to give it a run.
Definitely. I'll talk about this week of practice. Again, coming off a loss, I mean, you get a little down, but it's a new week then, so.
It is, and the great thing about this team right now is that they're undeterred. They're very, so far it's been very week to week. You prepare for this week. You don't worry about next week. You go and give your best. During practice, and we tried to do some things with special teams, make them speed them up a little bit to try and give ourselves a better look. And I think that with all of that, I think it'll make us better in the special teams area. And with the block punt and some pressures and things like that, we really needed to shore some things up. I think we did, and our kids have done a great job, and I think we're ready to go.
Yeah. All right. We talked about this the last couple weeks. The eligibility center always, unfortunately, takes a little bit longer. Are we feeling that we're almost?
We're there.
Just shaking.
Yeah.
What word that is.
It is, and it's tough, and some of it's on the player too.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not putting all the onus on them. I would like to see them maybe hire some more staff so they could get through some things a little quicker. However, we are at full strength. We're back to. We also get Jordan Nunnery back from. He had ACL surgery in February. He got cleared this Monday and has been doing himself a favor by really working hard to be in shape when his time came, and he had a great week. He's excited to be back. We're excited to have him back, and Jordan will make a big difference, offensively for us with Alex and Archer and giving us a 3-man rotation there. I think it'll keep those guys fresh.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's preview Mid-American Nazarene.
Well, they're a good football team. Obviously, they had a great win last week over Graceland. It was Graceland threw the ball for all kinds of yards, and Mid-American Nazarene ran it for all kinds of yards. They had a running back go for 270-some yards and 3 touchdowns, and he's a dynamic player. He can run the ball inside, and Jaden will probably be able to speak to this a little bit better, but he runs it inside. He can bounce it outside. He had a phenomenal game, and 278 yards in one game is pretty special. Yeah, it was a school record for them, and it's just one of those situations where we'll have to do a good job of containing him, keep him inside, and make sure that we put multiple bodies on him to get him to the ground. And defensively, they're very solid. They gave up some yards last week. Was a little bit uncharacteristic of them. It was Graceland hit him with some deep balls, and I think that really shook him a little bit. But last year they played us really good. It was such a great game last year. Right down to the wire. We had to block a field goal with basically no time left on the clock to win the game, and we did. And so I anticipate another one. They're going to come here ready to play. They're going to want to get us for what happened last year, and we'll need to be ready to go when the whistle's blown. And after this week of practice, I think we will be.
Definitely. All right, Jade. Now that you finally get to talk, you're listening to the coach. Like I hear.
Yeah.
I'm needing more of this. Talk about what you guys have seen on film of MNU.
Their O-line's really physical, and that back is probably one of the shiftier backs that we're going to see this season. And so, I mean, we just got to follow the game plan that we've been doing all week. We've had a good week of practice. Coach Norberg has really been on us about, getting our little study sheets and study guides and stuff like that and watching film. So, I mean, it's going to be a good one.
Right. Coach and I have talked about in past weeks about the very young secondary behind you guys,
Right.
But there's a lot of veteran leadership in the linebacking core as well as up front. Does that help knowing that? I mean, yeah, you got a lot of freshmen back there, but you guys are older and can help them out a little bit. But how do you feel about that secondary and the whole defense as a whole?
I mean, definitely the young secondary coming into the season was in the back of my mind like a little nervous, but they've been buying in. They've been in their playbooks. They've been grinding hard at practice. So like they've been communicating to us if they need help and stuff. So it's definitely good that we have a good linebacker core that's older and we can communicate. And of course we got a good D line that it just helps us make plays. So I'm confident about our defense.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Coach. Anything additional with MNU keys to success getting win number 1?
Well, I think after last week, I think finishing games is going to be important. We talked about that already. I think we need to win the special teams game. I think we can't afford to have a punt blocked. We can't afford to give up a big return. And on the flip side of that, I think we need to make a play in special teams. Whether it be a long kickoff return or a punt return or a punt block or a field goal block that we get to return somewhere or something like that. But I think it's time for us to make a special teams play. And obviously offensively we need to score points. I mean, let's not kid ourselves that we haven't done a very good job doing that so far this season. But I think if we can make a special teams play, maybe give us a little bit of different energy before the offense or the defense goes back out. And I think that could be the key to winning on Saturday. And don't give up a special teams play, but make one on our side. And let's try and energize ourselves with a key special teams play this week. And based off of what we've seen this week, I think we can.
Yeah. All right, finally, all eyes are going to be on Iowa State and Ames and game day and all of that. All right, make your pitch to the rest of the state saying, all right, yeah, Iowa State's going to be a big game, but all right.
Well, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Not everyone's going to have a ticket to that game.
That's right.
And that game doesn't start till 3 o'clock. Right. Average time of our games has been about 2.5 hours. Yep. So you've got plenty of time to come out, tailgate before our game. All right, come and watch our game, and then when our game's over, go home and finish the day watching the Hawkeyes in Iowa State. I mean, that's what we plan on doing, So I'm a Hawkeye fan.
Can I join you?
I'm a Hawkeye fan,
Yeah.
But I'm a Hawkeye fan. I'll be watching the game, and I'm a huge college football fan, and I think it's great for the state of Iowa that game day's coming to Iowa. It's the first time ever, I think they said, and I think it's huge. I think it's great for the state. I think it's great for the Iowa State rivalry, and but there is a game to be played before theirs, and it's ours. And come support us. Our kids will really appreciate it, and I think you'll see a great game.
Definitely. Awesome. Okay. Once again, Coach Todd Hafner of the William Penn football team, as well as senior Jaden Fletcher. When we come back, we're going to sit down. We're going to keep them here, but we're talking directly to Jaden. So we'll be back in a minute.
Oskaloosa. It's our community, and we're thankful to be a part of it. Telling its stories, sharing its smiles. We're building community, keeping you informed, giving you a voice, letting you know you're never alone during the victories and the losses, happiness and pain. For tomorrow's a new day, and we'll be there, working for you, ready to tell your story. That's our commitment. It's what we do, now and in the future, because we're always on. We're Oskaloosa News.
Welcome back, Statesman Nation. Again, we're back here with Jaden Fletcher of the football team, senior out of California. So, Jaden, we'll talk to you for a few minutes, get you on the hot seat here. All right, senior year, man. Last go-around before, NFL or whatever, I guess. Talk about, the emotions going into your last year.
Man, there's a lot of emotions going into this last year. I just know just growing up playing football and stuff and never thinking it's really going to end. And then this year coming up, this summer workouts, and just like, dang, this is the last of everything. So there's a lot of emotions running through me right now.
Yeah. Leadership-wise, it's always, ramped up a little bit higher every year that you're around and everything. Last year, being a junior college transfer, coming in new, so yes, you're older, had experience, playing college ball, but, not at William Penn. Obviously, it's a 180 now. being a senior leader. Talk about how much that's changed for you since last year.
I mean, I think last year I was just trying to come in and fit into the defense more as like I wasn't trying to be that guy, that vocal leader, that guy that people would look to, but I just was trying to come in and play hard. But this year, throughout all the spring ball, all the spring workouts and stuff, I just tried to make my voice be heard, make my positivity be seen, and try to lead that way.
Yeah, we talked about in the last segment that even though you're not the leader of the secondary or anything, big leader on defense, how much have you been able to influence that secondary that's so young?
I mean, I've been trying. We've been talking a lot. We're actually really close now, yeah, I've been just trying to get close to them, and they've been talking to me. They've been doing perfect, so yeah.
Talk about the culture. That's been something that Coach has talked about many, many times. We've had conversations about that.
Right.
That's going to be the difference between last year and this year.
Right.
And doesn't mean that the wins are going to come, every week or everything, but that it's just a lot more fun to be part of the William Penn football program this year and everything. Talk about how the culture has changed and how you've been able to help with that.
Definitely. Well, I believe the accountability code that we have put in has really changed, and the people that are supposed to be here and that want to be here are still here to this point. And I think it's a complete attitude 180. There's not negativity. There's just everybody's just trying to get better and just trying to work and stuff like that. So I feel like that's really good. And even though right now it's not leading to wins, it's leading to better. It's just a better culture, better feel. Every time I go to weightlifting and practice and stuff like that.
Definitely. All right, Coach, I'm going to shoot it back to you. You're not done just yet. Talk about Jaden a little bit.
Wow. Trying to think of the best way. I think energy and positivity. Those would be the two words that I would associate with him. He's easy to get along with. He's talked about, you've asked him a couple times about being on the defense where you have such a young secondary. Let's not kid ourselves. He's being very humble right now because he is the leader of the defense right now. And those guys are following his lead. And those young guys are looking up to him to find out, is this the way to do it? And they are finding out that it is the way to do it. What he is doing is the way to do it. You have a great attitude every day. You put a smile on your face. You go to work, and then when Saturday gets here, you're a whole different person. You're a football player, and he epitomizes what a football player is. And so it's just so refreshing to go to practice every day with Jaden as a leader, because you're going to get a smile, you're going to get a kind word, and at the end of the day the guys are going to work hard. And so that was a really long roundabout way to get to it, but that's exactly. I mean that's how I feel, and I think that without him right now we're completely different. I'm not gonna kid anybody, and so we're very happy that he's on our team.
There you go. Kind words from the head coach, right?
Definitely.
Always nice to hear. Jaden, talk about what's the future hold for Mr. Fletcher.
As of right now, I'm just going day by day, week by week. So I really just, all that's on my mind right now is season in school. So we'll see where life takes me after that. Really.
Stay in the Midwest or going back to Cali?
I'm going back to Cali for now. We'll see what happens.
You can wait on that. Yeah, California. Yeah, I got a couple GAs. I feel the exact same way. Yeah. All right, man. You ready for the Furious Four? This has been coined by Jared Goodman, so we'll see how you do with it. All right. Favorite athlete?
Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh wow, he's ready.
You ready for this?
Like it. There we go. All right. One thing you would bring if you were deserted on an island?
A water purifier.
Wow.
Oh, it's deserted. Okay,
you can bring it with you though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can bring it with you.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. One sport that you'd play if you weren't playing football?
Baseball.
Okay. What position? This is not part of the form.
Short. First base.
First base. A little short for first base.
Yeah, it's all right.
All right. Okay. Finally, one food you could live off of the rest of your life.
So my grandma's Belizean, and she makes some good rice and beans, and I can just live off rice and beans and chicken for the rest of my life. It's perfect.
Great. Okay, cool.
All right.
Gotta have your grandma's raising me.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So she's sending you some soon.
I
right?
actually asked her last night.
All right.
Care package.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Well, thank you, Jaden, so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks again,
You bet.
Coach. We will be checking on the guys. It'll be a noon start on Saturday, Statesman Community Stadium. So, yeah, again, Iowa State's playing. Everybody knows that. But, again, just like Coach Hafner said before that, you might as well come out and get a little get a double header.
There
so
you
to
go.
speak.
That's right.
Twin bill here. So, catch William Penn against Mid-American Nazarene at noon on Saturday in Oskaloosa. So, thanks again, guys.
You bet.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back, we will preview next week's games, a full docket, including that football game against MNU. Back in a minute.
The student community at William Penn made an impression on me. It's a real statement that you can come here and be part of something real.
You have the opportunity to participate in activities, to be involved, to make a difference on campus.
The coaches are awesome. It's easy to play for coaches that care about you. It gets more effort out of you because you appreciate what they do.
The real experiences at Penn have helped shape who I'm going to be when I graduate. I work harder because I want to be part of the conversation in class.
William Penn gives me the freedom to be who I am now and the tools for who I want to be.
Diversity runs deep at William Penn.
Not only in the student body, which is made up of people from all over the world,
but also in the diverse opportunities for hands-on learning.
The equipment you get to use is legit. The experiences here will help me get a job when I graduate.
I am a leader.
I am a trailblazer.
I'm proud to be a statesman.
William Penn University. Make a statement, be a statesman.
Welcome back, Statesman Nation. Full docket in front of us for this coming week, so we're going to get right to it. First off, football. Mid-American Nazarene coming to town on Saturday, as Coach Hafner already alluded. That's a team that they're 1-1, coming off a nice come-from-behind win against Graceland, but we're looking for one. We're looking for win number one and get the ball rolling in the right direction. Should by far, nothing against Pioneers, but by far will be the easiest of the three teams we've played so far, and hopefully we can get all facets going, get some success in the special teams and actually come away with the victory and set off everybody's good Saturday, and then they can watch Iowa State.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good week for the Statesmen. I feel as though they're battle tested. They've taken their lumps here. Now they can really make some quality adjustments and finish a ball game, as Coach Todd Hafner was alluding to, and just continuing to let the offense evolve and making a big play. It seems like the Statesmen have just missed out on that one big play, and just getting that one big play and really finishing a game. And they said they're going to switch it up with the meals in the locker room at halftime. We'll see if that has any sort of effect on them, and maybe just try something different. Try maybe something just clicks. And I think this is going to be a good week for the Statesmen, and hopefully they come out with a win.
Yeah, and if you look at the offensive numbers, they have not been as huge. It's almost like they're just waiting to explode on something. When is that rusher going to get close to or over 100 yards? When can Tyler Wood put up a game where he's throwing for a couple hundred yards and a couple touchdowns? They've made some great plays. The connections are starting to form and really solidify on that offensive side. Now they just have to put it together and really connect those plays together, string together a couple drives, and put the pedal down for 4 quarters.
Right.
Yeah, and this is a mid-am team that's coming in with a little bit of momentum. You mentioned the come from behind win. Both teams really are coming in with something to prove. They're mid-am's coming in, thinking we just came off with a big win. They're going to try to keep that momentum going. Statesmen, of course, still have the one win dangling in front of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you hate to put so much pressure on week 3, but it's getting to about the time where both teams all right, we can't afford to lose much more.
Mm-hmm.
And neither team was fully maybe in the picture of playoffs, but it doesn't mean that they can't. Doesn't mean you can't reel off 9 in a row.
And any given Saturday.
Yeah, and we've seen, of course, every team is different every single year, but we've seen the Statesmen, kind of take their lumps the first couple weeks and then really, come on strong the second half of the year and finish strong, and even, are competing for a playoff spot at the end. And so,
definitely we'll
and
see.
there's no one that's really stood out per se outside the top spot in the North standings so far. It's not like there's a couple teams that
It
are.
would be Grandview.
Well,
It's all said and done.
but behind them,
Oh no, right? Yeah, exactly.
there's
yeah.
a second or
it's
third place.
Grandview and
Yeah,
everybody else,
yeah,
really.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a wide open field. So if you can start building that momentum and take it for your conference schedule, all of a sudden you're looking much better.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, so again, noon start Saturday for William Penn against Mid-Am. So men's soccer and women's soccer will have the same opponents. It'll be a Saturday doubleheader against St. Ambrose at home, then Culver Stockton next Wednesday. A couple of big matchups. I think the men look obviously better on paper against those two teams. Culver Stockton not real strong. That'll be the conference opener. St. Ambrose hasn't been really great in men's soccer for a while. On the women's side, both teams are, I think, better than their men's counterparts. But
yeah, St. Ambrose 3-2 record overall. They lost to Mount Mercy and Culver Stockton, but they did beat Clark and Midland. They have a couple 2-goal scorers on the year, but not much outside of that. So should be one that the Statesmen should be able to handle, especially if they played like they did against Robert Morris. It should be 90 minutes of controlled play where the outcome really isn't in question. Culver Stockton, especially more, they are 1-5. Their only win coming against St. Ambrose, of course. Everyone else they've really struggled against. So that's the team, especially at the beginning of Heart Plate, you can't slip up on. You can't let Hannibal Grange happen again.
Yeah.
Or Hannibal LaGrange, sorry. Get confused on that for whatever reason. I'm new here, okay?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If you're going to go after Central Methodist, if you're going to go after Missouri Valley, if you're going to go after going back to Irvine, or going to Irvine, I should say,
for
this
the first
year,
time,
the second time the tournament's been there is what was in my mind. But
Yeah.
if you're going to try and get there, those are the teams you have to beat so that when you get to Missouri Valley and Central Methodist and those couple of our top teams, even if you take a loss to them, your heart record is still good and you can for sure get in that conference tournament.
Yeah. No, definitely.
On the women's side, Culver Stockton are 6-1, and that could be a real test for our side. St. Ambrose, they're 1-2-1 overall. They beat Grandview, actually, lost to Culver Stockton. So it'll be an interesting couple games for the women to see what they learned from their offensive shellacking of the Trojans down south in Missouri and what they know, what they don't know, and how they can put things together for a full 90 minutes, because I think that's what Coach Jamie Highcock has said about their past couple of losses was we need 90 minutes of play.
Definitely. Yeah, so it'll be interesting just to see where they come out of it and how they open up hard play on both sides. So we'll see. It'll be nice home cooking, and it'll be a great atmosphere out at the Lacey complex with having football on one side of the complex and soccer on the other side. So
Kind of a warm-up for homecoming a little bit.
yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it'll be. So it'll be
Hear
fun.
sounds of the game on both sides,
Yeah.
marching band and all that.
Yeah. All right, women's volleyball. Two really tough tests this weekend, and then with Benedictine and Baker. Fortunately, going down south to play them, so definitely not going to be an easy trip. And then Peru State next Tuesday, who right now appears to probably be at the bottom of the rung in the heart. But Jared, give us a little preview here.
Yeah, the Statesmen with that last win over Culver Stockton improved to 6-5 on the year. They're over 500. 1-1 in the heart. They got their first heart win out of the way. These are three teams that they're going to be playing here coming up that don't have a win in the heart. That could sometimes be a little dangerous, as we talked about with football. Teams that are hungry to get that first win. Benedictine 5-9 this year. Baker 6-11. Peru State 3-11. Those are three teams on paper, like you said. Benedictine and Baker, they're going to be tough down south.
Yeah.
And those are road trips that that wear hard on you. But these are three games that I think are very, very winnable for the Statesmen. And if they're able to take all three, maybe 2 out of 3, and you're off to a 4-2 start, I mean that's a pretty good start in the heart. And as they move forward, Grandview's coming down the pipe, and that's going to be a huge game. But the 4-2 start in the heart, 4-2, 5-1 even, that can set them in position. A good start can really put them in position to make a run at the conference tournament down the line. But the Statesmen just got to go out there and, really just do what they did against Culver Stockton. Come out, play a complete game. The defense has got to come up big. Corinne, Dan, and Libby, I'm sure they're going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to put balls down. And I think the Statesmen just got to play complete games down there and not let they should be somewhat well rested. We had the tournaments early on. We talked about earlier how they kind of had a week off, and they got that big home win, and now it's time to hit the road, and it's go time now. It's not going to be much time off, so they got to be ready to go.
Yeah, especially if you can get a couple of those wins away, you'd like that a lot better, and then you can deal with them again. You'd like to think even more so when you're at home in front of a big crowd.
Yeah, and all 3 of these games are away, so that's going to be a challenge in itself. But then you think, get these ones out of the way, get the wins, and then you come home and play in front of our great home court advantage. And let's see if what the Statesman ladies can do.
Yeah, I know the Coach Cleaver mentioned the Benedictine and Baker matches being really important because in the grand scheme of things, when we're talking about the Hart tournament, top 3 teams out of each division automatically go to the tournament, and then the final 2 teams come off of your overall conference record. So it could be 2 teams out of the North, it could be 2 teams out of the South. So you need to go and beat up the South teams so they don't have a good record, and you have a better record against them. So it's important for them to go down there, and at the very least they need to split. And I think the records are probably, their records are deceiving, but
they've played some tough
they've played
teams.
some pretty tough teams, but we've got some tests under us as well, and no reason why if we can't play, if we can play a full 3 sets, 4 sets, whatever, play all the way through, we can beat them.
If we come out and play defense like we did against Kohler Stockton,
yeah.
we're going to be just fine. Yeah,
and you'd expect that someone like Libby Zorn is going to improve her efficiency. That one, as you said, the first couple sets just weren't quite clicking for her.
And I really think that was just kind of an anomaly.
Yeah,
She's been pretty good all year as far as her attack percentages, and it was just one of those days for her where it was just balls were missing. Balls are sailing just a little bit.
If she can keep them down,
she hit the post a couple times, and
you add that in. If you expect her to get double digits, and then you add in Dan and Corinne getting double digits, all of a sudden you're looking at 30-some points, and that's a lot of points racking up pretty fast for you.
For sure. All right, men's golf starting the year, hopefully. I've heard some rumors that they might be canceled because of weather, but who knows? It's so far down the road still. But opening up this weekend, Sunday through Tuesday, Indian Hills is hosting down in Moravia at the Preserve. So it should be interesting to see how the guys start. We lost an All-American in Zach Chegwooden, but Coach Tucker's really excited about the talent that he brought in. Not sure if all the talent's available right away, but they do have a pretty strong group of returners back, and definitely some new guys that can help out as well. And Indian Hills is going to be great. Figure them to be at the top of the standings, and I'm not sure who else is there, but it should be a pretty good tournament. So see how they get going. Women's golf looking for win number 2 back-to-back, Northwest National Invitational at Lamar's. Not sure who's hosting that or anything. That's kind of a weird one because there's not a school in Lamar's, but that should be an interesting one. Just something different they're playing at. A course they've never seen, probably against a lot of competition that they don't normally face. I'm guessing a lot of GPAC competition at Sunday, Monday. I don't know.
54 holes is what Coach Rhymes said.
Too,
yeah,
so going 36 and 18, I assume. What else does Coach Rhymes mention about that one?
That was all she told me so far.
But yeah, she's got to be excited. Get that first win. She got that monkey off her back. She can start work on catching Coach Rule and his 35-40 career wins.
And they're a very friendly rivalry too.
Exactly. So I guarantee he's probably telling her, you're good job. You got that first one, but you got a few more to catch me. So.
Yeah.
And then finally, cross country, just going west up to Grandview on Friday night. Will be a smaller meet as compared to the Augustana Twilight. So, expect a lot of high finishes, and be nice to face Grandview. Hopefully, there'll be some other conference teams there as well, and just see how they kind of stack up against teams. Vernon Trozzi's looked really good early on for a freshman on the men's side. The women's side still. Michaela Kamek looks like she's kind of leading the team. Everybody else still trying to figure out where they fit in, but they run really well as a team. I think on the women's side they're doing a good job packing together. Now they just have to get that pack to move farther up the standings and everything. But it should be interesting to see where they go and what Coach Goswich can come out of the team on Friday. So anything else, guys?
No, just a busy weekend.
Yeah,
busy week.
Busy always.
Yeah, busy always doesn't stop.
That's
but
right.
like I said, I think where we're at as far as fall sports go, I think all teams are in pretty good position to do some damage and compete for playoff spots, and
Yep.
we'll see how this week plays out, and we'll reanalyze next week.
That's right.
Sure,
Right.
yeah.
Well, it's been fun. Thanks, guys, for joining me, and we'll keep this going. Thanks again to Ken and Ginger Alsop and Oskaloosa News for allowing us to steal a bit of their time and steal their studio for a while. So hopefully we didn't make them mad, and they'll let us have us come back next week and for future weeks. But really excited to kick off inside the playbook. And until next time, until next week, go Statesman.